thought of while looking at the data is that um, there is really no way to determine the revenue for the year.
So we
So we
decided to
decided
go
to go
with
with overall sales. Hello,
hello,
I
I
think
think
you
you
have
have
stopped
stopped
sharing.
sharing.
Nika.
Nika.
Okay, yeah, I can see you now. So we decided to go with overall sales for the year. So
So
that's
that's
like
like
total.
total.
So
So
what
what
was
was
overall
overall
sales
sales
for
for
the
the
year?
year?
And
And
we
we
said
said
we
we
use a
use a
card
card
showing
showing
metrics.
metrics.
And
And
yes,
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 I
sir.
said.
Okay.
Okay.
Then
Then
also we
also we
want to
want to
ask a
ask a
question.
question.
First
First
question
question
we
is
also
always
use which was
the
the highest
highest
and
and
worst
worst
sales.
sales.
So based
Based
on the
on the
last
last
meeting we
meeting we
had
had
on
on
Monday,
Monday,
that
that
we
we
almost
almost
can't
can't
determine
determine
categorize
categorize.
them. So we
So we
now
now
decided
decided
that
that
we'll
we'll
use
use
a
a
bar
bar
chart
chart
showing
showing
top
top
five
five
best
best
and
and
least
least
five
five
performing
performing
products.
products.
Then
Number
three,
three,
how
how
did the
did the
company
company's
sales
sales
performance
performance
vary
vary
across
across
different
different
countries?
countries?
And
And
which
which
ones
ones
show the
show the
most
most
growth
growth
potential?
potential?
So we
So we
said we
said we
can
can
show
show
that
that
with a
with a
map
map
showing
showing
sales
sales
in
in
different
different
countries
countries
and
and
also
also
a
a
column
column
chart
chart
showing
showing
the
the
most
most
growth
growth
potential.
potential.
Then
Then
number
number
four,
four,
are
are
there
there
any
any
trends
trends
or
or
patterns
patterns
in
in
sales
sales
that
that
can
can
be
be
identified
identified
by
by
analyzing the
analyzing the
dates
dates
and
and
sales?
sales?
And
And
how
how
can
can
this
this
be
be
used
used
to
to
improve
improve
operations?
operations?
So we
So we
talked
talked
about,
about,
we
we
suggested
suggested
line
line
graph
graph
and
and
time
time
series
series
graph.
graph.
So
So
we are
we are
in
in
between,
between,
will it
will
be
it be
monthly,
monthly,
will
will
it
it be
be yearly? So we
so
will
we
need
need
your
your
expert
expert
opinion
opinion
on
on
that.
that.
And
And
then
then
for the
for the
CMO,
CMO,
we
we
are
are
a
a
bit,
bit,
we
we
had
had
this
this
discussion
discussion
back
back
and
and
forth.
forth.
Can you
Can
help
you help
me
me
scroll up
scroll
a
up a
bit?
bit?
Yeah, that's
That's
fine.
fine.
So we
We
had
had
this
this
discussion
discussion
of
of
back
back
and
and
forth.
forth.
Most
Most
of the
of the
things
things
we
we
are
are
writing
writing
here
here, it
looks
looks
like
like
they've
they've
already
already
been
been
answered
answered
with the
with the
initial
initial
questions
questions
and
and
visuals
visuals
that we
that we
chose for
chose
the
the
CEO.
CEO.
So
So
we're
we're
trying
trying
to
to
look
look
at
at
something
something
that we
that we
can
can
come
come
that
that
is
is
more
more
that we
that
have
we have
like
like
marketing
marketing
insights.
insights.
So,
So
like,
like
what
what
is
is
the
the
top
top
country
country
and
and
how
how
much do
much
they
do they
contribute
contribute
to
to
sales?
sales?
That's
That's
the
the
map
map
we
we
show
show
this,
this,
and
and
then
then
the
the
sales
sales
by
by
country
country
we
we
show
show
this
this
as
as
well.
well.
How
How
do the
do the
customer
customer
demand
demand
vary
vary
across
across
different
different
products,
products,
and
and
what
what
can
can
be
be
show
show
the
the
performance
performance
product
product
that
that
also
also
we
we
cannot
cannot
categorize
categorize
products,
products?
so
So
that's
that's
why
why
we
we
left
left
it
it
blank.
blank.
Then
Then
number
number
three,
three,
what are
what
the
are the
leads
leads
registered
registered
and
and
unregistered
unregistered
customers
customers
available
available
to
to
the
the
company
company
based on
based on
customers'
customers'
patronage over
patronage over
time?
time?
Okay, so
Okay,
one
so
of
one
the
of the
things
things
we
we
discussed in the
discussed in the
last
last
meeting
meeting
with
with
Daniel
Daniel
was
was
that
that
the
the
customers
customers
that
that
don't
don't
have
have
um, unit
price
price are associated
associated
with
with
their
their
products are
products
likely
are
customers
customers
that
that
don't
don't
don't have
have
IDs, customer
customer
IDs,
IDs,
are
are
customers
customers
that
that
probably
probably
that
that
the
the
company
company
don't
don't
have
have
their
their
details.
details.
So
So
based
based
on
on
this,
this,
we
we
said
said
that
that
these are
these are
leads
leads
that the
that the
marketing
marketing
team
team
can
can
up and then
and then
encourage them
encourage them
to
to
register
register
with the
with the
company
company
so that
so
they
that they
can,
can,
encourage
encourage
them
them
to
to
buy,
buy,
target
target
them
them
to
to
buy
buy
more
more
products
products
from
from
them,
them,
add
add
them to
them to
their
their
email
email
list
list
if
if
there
there
are
are
any,
any,
and
and
generally
generally
just
just
add
add
some
some
form
form
of
of
digital
digital
marketing
marketing
campaign
campaign
to
to
target
target
them
them
so
so
that they
that they
can,
can,
increase
increase
their
their
registered
registered
customers.
customers.
So we
So we
now
now
set
said
that
that
metrics
metrics
that's
that's
showing
showing
total
total
number of
number of
unregistered
unregistered
customers
customers
and a
and a
bar to
batch
display both
both
registered
registered
and
and
unregistered
unregistered
customers.
customers.
Then
Then
also,
also
we
we
also
also
asked
asked
the
the
questions
questions
that
that
are
are
there
there
any
any
trends
trends
or
or
patterns
patterns
in
in
customer
customer
demand
demand
that
that
can be
can be
identified by
identified by
analyzing the
analyzing the
data
data
and
and
products
products
and
and
what
what
can
can
this
this
be
be
used to
used to
improve
improve
operations?
operations.
Share line
Line
chart,
chart,
even
even
though
though
this is
this is
also
also
similar
similar
to a
to a
question
question
that
that
we
we
asked in
asked
the
in the
CEO
CEO
chat
chat
part
part
as
as
well.
well.
Then
Then
number
number
five,
five,
we
we
want to
want to
list
list
pending,
pending,
incomplete,
incomplete,
and
and
complete
complete
transactions
transactions
based on
based
the
on the
invoice
invoice
number
number
and
and
unit
unit
price.
price.
I
I
know
know
we
we
mentioned
mentioned
that
that
in the
in the
last
last
meeting
meeting
as
as
well
well
that
that
the transactions that don't have unit price means that they are incomplete. So here we want the marketing team to see that, to find out what could be the reasons why, people's transactions are not completed. Why don't they have unit price attached to their purchase? So then here, this is just like a general visual that we want to look at for everything. Top five and list five countries by sales, five and list by product, registered and unregistered customers by country, registered customers by sales, unregistered customer by sales, registered customer by product, unregistered customer by product, then total number of registered customers, total number of unregistered customers. So column chart, map, and cart. So we want you to look at this and give us your own opinion about it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, nice one, Kendi and her team. All right, can you just scroll up to the CEO, questions by CEO? All right. So what was the overall sales for the year? Okay, overall sales for the year. Perfect. You can use that in doing that. Since you can't really categorize the overall sales using visuals. I think that works. Then remember to use a consistent color formatting. Maybe for your cards, you could use the what they call it, the title, because each graph should have a title, right? Maybe title background color. Then your card can have that color. You can use shadow overlay just to make it so it doesn't affect the eyes. Because if I'm looking at some particular visual, I have to close my eye a little bit just to align myself to the color, right? So which product has the highest and lowest sales? Okay. I think there's a way you can actually use which product has the highest and lowest sales. All right. This one is pretty straightforward though. You could use small multiples. Okay, you could use small multiples. So you could divide your small multiple two visuals alone. When I was working on the COVID-19 data last year, I don't know if any of you saw that I used small multiples to show um, uh, COVID deaths for 4 different countries, 4 different continents. Okay, each continent having their own bar chart or whatever that is in one visual. It's actually one visual divided into 4. So you can use small multiples and maybe divide it into 2. So you don't have to do 2 different visual formats, right? So any filtering you want to do will just be on that graph. You don't need to lock or unlock anything like that. So how did the company's sales vary across different countries? Which one shows the growth potential? So here you can also use, like I said about cleaning, data cleaning with the countries column. So make your research. RSA should be for South Africa, then EIRE should be for Ireland. If you put that on, they'll tell you is Republic Isle of Ireland. So you want to do your cleaning, change that. Then in Power BI, you might want to then tell Power BI to recognize that column as a country column, so that when you bring in the map, if you want to use map, right? When you bring in the map, Power BI automatically places those countries where they belong on the map. Okay, so that you don't have to, most times you don't have to use visuals. Then I said something like if you have access to Novi Pro, you can download more visuals by using Heatmap. So Heatmap will just automatically tell which country has the highest sales by putting maybe red in that particular area of the country. And from what we have seen, I think it's UK, because it's more of UK we are seeing there, hopefully, right? Then if you don't want to use the heat map, you can just use the normal map you have on your Power BI. Then do something like bar charts, what your pie charts if you're doing a proportion of the total sales. Okay, since you already have for number 1, question 1, overall sales, means you already know the overall sales. Then that means you can then decide to use the pie chart. Just use what they call it, measures. Create a new measure, put in the overall sales there, then do a measure of the country's current sales and divide it by the total sales. I hope making sense anyway. Then 4, are there trend patterns in sales that can be identified by analyzing the dates in sales? Okay, for here, I would just advise you use months and years. Okay, months, if you're doing line charts, just use months and years, because if you use days.
Okay, I'll just to ask the pie chart.
Okay.
Sorry, hello Daniel, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, sure. Yeah, can go ahead, question.
Okay, I was muted. When you mentioned charts, Yes, can you hear me now? Okay, you mentioned pie charts. Hello?
Yeah, of course, I can hear you. Go ahead.
I said you mentioned pie charts.
Okay. Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, can you hear me?
Oh,
Okay, so
I can hear you.
if you're using pie charts,
Yes, I can.
if you're using pie chart, just make sure that pie chart is a proportion of the total profit. Okay, because if you want to use pie chart just amount or one, it's better you lapse. Okay, that is interesting. If you want to use pie chart, make sure that you already know the total profit. Okay, what is question one. You already know the total profit. The pie just make a proportion percentage. Okay, tell us what percentage is it country 12. You don't understand what I'm saying.
So I can't hear him.
Because
Okay.
we're trying to talk, but we've been used to. Okay, we're not hearing you. I know you've been trying to talk.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, can.
Yeah, sorry, don't mind MTN is really messing the whole Lagos up. So what I meant was that when you're deciding to use a pie chart, it's good to use a pie chart, but pie chart tells you what portion is this stock to the total. I mean, COVID deaths, obviously, same in the total COVID deaths. What portion does Africa contribute to this total COVID deaths? Maybe Africa might contribute like 2%. The pie tells you that. Right. So if finding it difficult to really represent that when you're using your smart narrative, just go for the bar chart. But let your bar chart show the numbers on top. Okay, let the numbers line or be sitting on top of the bar chart. It's visible. Okay.
That is the data levels, right?
The data labels, of course. Okay, let's go down to the CMO.
Oh, you started a question. You said something about months on the question 4. You didn't finish what you were saying.
Oh, okay. So the months, use months and years. Okay, so that the line chart is long enough. Use months and years so the line chart long enough. If you want to use good line chart and how to create space for that, from one end of the your Power BI to the other end. If you're using days in it, so just know that the days will be more detailed because telling everyone that you are looking at the trend on as in per day, each day, right? If you want to data clean, you want to do week. That's a long process, but it's still fine. It's good. It looks beautiful. But I'll just say stick to months because nobody analyzes their sales by the day. They analyze it either by week or by month. So they are able to compare um, January to February to March. They look at the profit routes. So they can use they can then say if the profit growth between January to March is 50% or 57%, what was actually our average sales? It will be January, February, March divided by 3. They get your average sales. Then you can now tell if April is meeting your average sales based on the last 3 months. Okay. Well, when you're doing your visuals, I'll be here to assist you with doing all of that ninja skills. But stick to months and year more transactions. Then you can bring out the days on a different column using Power Query. Bring out the days on a different column. Then you can find out which day is do they actually do more transactions. So for some countries, it might be Wednesday because of some particular holiday they have every Tuesday, or maybe Nigeria now we have this sanitation stuff every Thursday. So Thursday in Nigeria won't be the most transacting day by assumption. So that's how what is transacting stuff affects other countries too. They have some sales on some days. But for Nigeria, you can assume that Monday is it trying to jump buses, trying to be serious even when we are playing on the inside. So that's how you want to find out the day that is that they actually do transactions more in that country. Okay. Then I hope that answers the question concerning the months and the years.
Yes.
All right. So what country is the top country and how do they contribute to total sales? So from here, you can bring in your assumptions as a data analyst into play because the total you have the customers in the country, for each country, both transacting and non-transacting customers. So whether they are transacting or they are not transacting customers, let's just help them. Okay, they are customers. So we know we have the ones that have been transacting with us and the ones that are not transacting. One day, maybe when something touches the hearts of those not transacting customers, they will come and buy. Okay, so we don't just want to discard them. We want to leave them, right? So when you're counting customers for each country, you also count transacting customers. Okay, then you can decide to look at what's out of these other customers, what are the ones that are transacting and all transacting. Here you can use a pie chart or a donut chart, right? And how much they contribute to total sales. Okay, now you're looking at proportion of total sales for this type of customers per country. So this is where your map comes into play. You just touch on the whole thing changes for that particular country, right? So here I would advise you use pie chart or data, but if you choose to use a stack column chart, it's fine. Okay, or a bar chart, it's totally fine, right? Then the second one, how the customer demand vary across different products. Okay, here might be an issue because remember we are not grouping these products. I would advise you use a scatter plot here because here you're just looking at the relationship between increase in customer and increase in sales, right? Because that's what you want to look at. If you're looking at different products, we have so many products, and remember we did not group these products into categories. Okay, so here you might have to bring your assumption into play. But what I will do is that I will use a scatter plot. Then I'll make sure I use the play axis. Okay, the play axis will work. So what I just do is that play axis, I'll just click on play, put the number of years from the months, I mean January to December for 2010 and 2011. Okay, that's your year should be your play axis. Or year is going to be the play axis. Then you will now want to put in the customer ID as down. I want to put in the product and also the sales, the amount, the money, right? So that's how you can now find how this stuff, how the kind of relationship they have with each other. It's going to help you. The play axis does that. All right. You can decide to use it. I mean, just to make it automatic and all that. Use a play axis. So when you click on play, the thing will start moving on its own. Makes it very attractive.
What is play axis?
Okay, play axis is
Is there
like,
anything-
yeah, it's a category. Remember when you're doing your visual for bar chart, you have X axis and Y axis. Okay, so when
Yes.
you're choosing a scatter plot, at the bottom end, you're going to see something like play axis. So that's where,
okay.
yeah, that's where your year should be. Okay, your years should be there. So it shows you the increase or decrease relationship over the months in a year and all that. All right, so what can be done to improve performance of products that underperform?
Before you go, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, you said we should put the customer ID as count. Why and something else? Like, is it necessary?
Okay, for your scatter plot, you have 3 categories. You have the values, some other category, and I think something axis. So you have to actually put 3 values there, right? So if you're looking at customer demand across various products, you would want to see how much demand did this customer make for this product, and how do you find out? You find out how many times a particular or customers order that product. So okay, sorry, you might use product ID. Is it product ID or what's there? Is it product ID or order ID or stock code? Yeah, what Adefila said. Stock code. So stock code is like the identification number for a product. Then you might want to use count of stock code for customer ID, right? Also for products, and your play axis should then be number of years. Okay. So you might still want to go ahead to do cleaning, right? More data cleaning. So even after deciding the visuals, like what I said on Monday, after deciding the visuals you want to use, there's still a need for data cleaning because it tells you that, okay, for me to arrive at this end goal, I need to tweak my data a little bit. Okay. So So to find out performance of underperform, then you can use small multiple balance, whereby you do the five highest products and the five lowest products. Okay? Then what will be your advice to the company? My own advice to the company will be two options. Either they invest more, okay, three options. Either they invest more to the products that are overperforming, okay, comparative cost advantage, on terms, or can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
All
we
right.
can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, so okay, comparative cost advantage, right? Now I'm talking from the business accounting point of view because luckily I have a background there. So comparative cost advantage simply states that every country should focus their resources on the products that's yielding them the highest revenue. Okay, so I made an example of Nigeria and Ghana. Ghana produces cocoa, the coffee. Sorry, I don't know if Ghana produces again, but let's assume Ghana is producing coffee. Nigeria is using
Coffee.
coffee, right?
Cocoa.
Okay, is it cocoa or
Yeah.
coffee? And
Cocoa.
let's analyze coffee. Let's just assume, right? Nigeria is cocoa. If cocoa is giving Nigeria 20 billion naira and oil is giving Nigeria 5 billion, okay, let's say 100,000 naira, then coffee is giving Ghana 20 billion naira, 20 billion cedis, and let's assume plastic is giving them 100,000 cedis. Comparative cost advantage states that Nigeria should focus more of their resources on cocoa and leave oil, so they can yield more and more profits from cocoa. And also, Ghana should leave what they call this plastic and focus on coffee, because it makes no sense when you are investing on something that's giving you a low return. Take an example: relationships. Let's look at relationships. You are a guy, you are trying to get into a serious relationship with two girls. Okay, you are investing in both of them. Maybe you are paying for this, buying that. One is advising you on your future, telling you they want fine pictures. It makes no sense staying with the one that is just sending you fine pictures. And also, like, you are putting the same level of investment on both of them. Okay, maybe you are going to get the one that is giving you advice, but at the end of the day, why not take the money you are using for that one that is just sending you fine pictures and invest on the one that is giving you advice? Imagine the kind of input you would get, because garbage in, garbage out. What you put in is what you get out, right? So that's how it is here. Comparative cost advantage. So that kind of visual is not going to tell you to give the company an advice based on that stuff. So number two will not be, it's either the company or the online retail business. It's either they look for marketing strategies to increase the sales of these products in whatever region they are selling it in. Okay, and that one has to call for meetings, strategy, and all that. Then the third option is they should just drop the product. It makes no sense selling this product if it's not giving them profit, right? Drop the product and move on. I mean, it will be invested over time, but if they keep on investing in that product that's not giving them returns, the losses they will make will be much than when they drop the product. So it's one way to look at it. So you can do your research on corporate advantage. This one stuck with me when I was in GSS3. It has never left me since then, because I've been using it for normal life something, right? So it worked. So let me look at your other questions. So you can use comparative cost advantage for question okay, question 2. This one part of question 2. Then what are the leads available to the company based on cultural nature? So here you want to look at distinct count of customer ID for each country, because we know that there are some customers that came back to buy, customers that are coming to buy. How have they actually increased over time? Because of the unique number of customers you have over time. So you would want to use count distinct, both registered and unregistered customers, right? Count distinct and find out how they've increased from January to December or December to December. Then okay, and here I think you might want to do play it in two different ways. Either you just look at the customers, how they've increased over time, or you look at their purchasing power over time. It depends. So purchasing power, you have to include the total price or the amount they've spent over time. Then are there trends or patterns of customer demand that can be identified by analyzing the dates and products? Okay, trends. I'm trying to understand this. Are there any trends or pattern in customer demand that can be analyzed? Okay, here you would want since there are no more information concerning this, here you would like dates. You bring the dates, then you might want to check if you can find out unique stock code. Because I think if you do unique stock code, the number of products might reduce a little. Maybe some products are repeating themselves. We don't know. I've not actually checked the data yet. Some product might be repeating. So you might want to do unique stock code to find out if you can reduce the products a little. If it's down, then you can bring in you can do a little bit of the customer count of customer over total purchases and all that for the products. I've not really thought about really say anything about your phone in a bit of calculation using DAX formulas or Power Query depend. Okay, so your question 5 is pretty straightforward. Top 5 and top is the least 5 countries by sales. Like I said, here you can use small multiple, order by ascending, then order it by total sales, right? Then choose your top 5. Then also for the least sales, choose your top 5. So your least 5, I mean. Then top 5 and least 5 countries by products. You won't follow the same process. Then registered and unregistered countries by customers by countries, just count of customers, right? For registered and non-registered. So that one is pretty straightforward. But make sure you use something like use a very good color, consistent color formatting, because if you're using gradients, use gradients throughout. If you're using two colors to differentiate two different categories, fine. But make sure that the colors are not something like blue and red. Blue and red doesn't make sense. So make sure it's not blue and yellow. And you can use something like blue, sky blue, and navy blue. Makes sense. That's good. You can use black and gray. Perfect. Okay. You can also use let's see, just or gradients. You can use gradients. Just turn it and switch it anyhow you want to do it. But let's just make sure that the color is very won't make our then register. So you just find out when you group the column by registered and non-registered, you then put in the total sales from registered and the total sales from non-registered. Just put it on top of the bar, or you make a duplicate bar and do that separately. Then okay, so everyone here is just customers for this. They also called data summary, right? So just giving a summary of the data. So total sales, use a card. Total number of registered customers, use a card. Then you can also total number of registered use a multi-card for total number of registered customers and total sales from these registered customers. So you don't have to repeat cards, everything. All right, so that card can just be for registered customers. Then you can look at their total number and total revenue from them. Do that for the same thing for unregistered customers. Then yeah, I think that's if I'm not mistaken, I think that's all, right? Unless there's nothing, unless there's something down.
That's all. Thanks a
Okay,
lot. Thank you.
perfect. So
Please have a question.
sure, go ahead.
You mentioned small multiples. I don't think I understand that.
Okay, small multiples are like maybe you have a bar chart. Small multiples helps you demarcate or divide the bar chart into 4 different or 3 different separate bar charts, right? So if you can go to my LinkedIn page or YouTube page where I did video summary on the COVID-19 data set, you would see a very good example of small multiples using 4 categories. I did for
Okay.
I did for United States, I think for South Africa, for France, and for Australia, right? So the number of information you put determines the number of multiples you'll be getting. So if you're just putting 4 informations, you have 4 small multiples. I think it's to just 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can check it and send me text. I'll make out time. But
Okay.
yeah, why the text be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?